Has Bungie changed Destiny 2 for streamers again? It's certainly looking that way. We're going to talk about what happened here today and how it could affect anyone who's not a person who plays the game literally for a living. Hey, I'm LittleBobby here with 5-9 Direct, and today we're going to be talking about some changes that Bungie has made to Destiny 2 that look like they are again pivoting towards supporting the streamers who market their game for them as opposed to the players who play the game and keep it alive. You may be asking, what am I talking about? Well, it looks like today Bungie helped put out a tweet that said, "We are making some targeted adjustments to matchmaking in Control. Our goal is to improve matchmaking speed and connections for players in higher skill bands. If you experience any issues after this change, please report to the help forum." If you're unaware, Bungie implemented skill-based matchmaking at the start of Season 18, and this was met with a huge outcry from top players in the Destiny PvP community, because top players in the Destiny PvP community like to be able to market the game by making YouTube videos and streaming on Twitch things like Trials of Osiris carries or weapon reviews that show them basically dominating an entire match with whatever new weapon has been released. This is how they make their money, and I totally get that. You want to ensure that your cash flow is, keep it coming. But Bungie implemented the skill-based matchmaking as a sort of measure to help bolster the population of the Control Crucible mode, which is kind of the basic Crucible mode in Destiny 2, stating that they're eventually going to be expanding that matchmaking out into other playlists and eventually getting all of them under the same matchmaking parameters. And after the first week, Bungie came out with hard statistics that said, hey, we've seen a rise in population of players overall and players playing more matches overall. Not just more people playing, but people playing more matches. The reason for this was that people who are casual in the game could come back and kind of have a good time. And me personally, I actually enjoyed it because with the system they had before, the way it was broken up is that a single top skilled player would be put with the 5 worst players and 6 other decent players would be put on the other team. This left the top player basically guaranteed to lose the match unless they carried with something like a 40 or 50 kill game. It was kind of ridiculous. However, once the new skill-based matchmaking went in at the beginning of the season, I started playing and I actually found myself enjoying it. The matches were actually just as tough, if not tougher. However, as someone who does sit kind of in that higher skill bracket in terms of Bungie's matchmaking, I found it really nice to have a bunch of teammates who would work together instead of being saddled with those 5 players who might not play as much or only be there for their challenges, so they didn't care at all. It actually seemed to breathe new life into Crucible, and it made it much more enjoyable for a lot of people. I saw so many people on Twitter, Reddit, and the Bungie forums talking about how much they enjoyed the new matchmaking and how it made everything feel so much better. They could compete with people in their skill bracket, which was really cool. And I thought that was a great thing for the mass population of the game. Sure, it made my games a little sweatier, but they had to sweat too. They have to try in their games, but they're not getting dominated every single match by people who just outclass them in every single way. But like I said earlier, the thing with this is that the top content creators for Destiny 2 are out there moaning about how every single game I have is so sweaty and I have to try all the time, even though there were definitely different playlists that didn't have the matchmaking implemented that they could have played in. So what Bungie did is after about 2 weeks, they kind of loosened the parameters of the matchmaking, which made it possible for more high-skilled players to get into those low to mid-tier brackets and dominate people again. Since that first adjustment, which was only maybe 2 to 3 weeks into the season, I've actually found Crucible being a lot less fun, and it feels like it did before the adjustment. Now, today, Bungie, with that announcement on Twitter that they loosened the parameters even more, I'm seeing teams of 6 going in with all characters who are super kitted out, who are using the most meta weapons to try and pad their KD, just go into farm matches. And this is exactly what Bungie said they wanted to prevent in the first place. They even put in leaver penalties to penalize those people in high skill brackets from just leaving because they were complaining so much and then leaving their team out to dry. Now, I personally do not agree with leaver penalties. I think people should be able to leave in a quick play game for any reason. There's no reason to really take it that seriously, right? If you've got an emergency, you should be able to leave. However, with the changes to skill-based matchmaking, I think that Bungie is once again showing that right now, they need those streamers to stick around to market their game and to push it to as many people as possible. And why? Well, if we look at the Steam charts for Destiny 2, it's a very clear pattern that's happening. You see, in August, Bungie released a new season, and new seasons tend to do really, really well for Destiny 2. They bring back a lot of players, right? And people feel really good about the game. However, if you look from August 2022, where the new season released, they had a peak player count of 193,000, which is really great considering the game's been out for quite a while. However, if you look at the last 30 days, at least at the time of recording this video, the peak player count is 107,814. Now that's down from 193,000. And things get more clear if we look at the average player counts. In August, it was 68,548.8. And that has to do with the new season not really starting till the last week of that month. But when we look at September, we see that that number shot up to 88,624.9 average players. Now, if we look at the last 30 days, we can see that that shot way back down to 62,930.8 average players. Remember, these are average players per day. So we're seeing that there's a huge drop off in players right now. And what are you going to do when you need to try and keep players engaged, especially those who might have fallen off? You're going to make sure that the free marketing that Twitch streamers and YouTubers give to the game is going to stay as high as possible. So Bungie making these adjustments for top PvP and PvE players seems to be a strategy they're taking, knowing that they're losing a lot of players right now. But the thing about this is that I don't think that Bungie is counting on the fact that when just streamers and YouTubers rule how the game works, we end up with situations like Destiny 2 Year 1. And I said that in my last video, and a lot of people said, oh no, how was that listening to streamers? Streamers didn't ask for 2 primaries and shotguns to be in the heavies. And yes, they did. If you remember, during Destiny 1, people said we need to have things limited to primary only. And a lot of the people making those demands were those top Twitch streamers for PvP for Destiny 2. Destiny 2 listening to top tier PvP players has almost killed the game already. It basically almost caused the game to die when it was initially released. If it wasn't for the fact that all those changes caused so many people to stop playing, that Bungie went, hey, what caused this? Oh, it's the fact that we changed the entire game to suit this small niche group of people who just happens to be very loud. And if Bungie hadn't changed course and decided, hey, you know what, we're gonna make the game that we originally wanted to make without worrying about this competitive PvP atmosphere that this small group of people really wants for whatever reason, then we wouldn't have gotten Forsaken and the game probably would be dead at this point. The point of all this is that when you take and make the game only for the highest skilled, those who can put in 15 hours in a day because it's literally their job, and the rest of the player base is going to disengage because it's not something fun for them. They don't want to have to grind and level up and only play top 1% players in PvP games. And sure, you might say, well, you only run into those. But if you're one of the bottom 10% people, that means 90% of people are better than you. Those people are not going to have a good time. Those top 1% people, they're going to be able to have a good time. And if they can deal with the fact that, hey, we actually have to play people on our level, then the other 99% of the player base is going to have a much better time with the game. The game is meant to be fun. It is not meant to be something that you throw your entire life into. And I wish more people would see that, especially those who always watch and side with only the quote unquote community leaders, because I hate to break it to most of these people, but the community leaders do not really care. I've seen very few people who actually vouch and try to support the casual players of Destiny 2, and it's very clear how much the top 1% of Destiny 2 players has a major disdain for the rest of the player base. They think the game needs to only be made for them because they are the ones who create content for it. They're the ones who put it out to people, and I've seen that mindset swirling in a lot of content creators. Lots of people play Destiny 2. I know people who have handicaps who play. I know people who are older than even I am, people in their 40s, their 50s who play the game, who just try and enjoy it. They want to play strikes every once in a while, do a raid, things like that. They want to maybe try at trials, or they want to just play PvP to try and get better at it, but they can't because this top few percent decides that they need to be so loud that Bungie cannot ignore them. One of the things I do want to commend Bungie on, though, is that DMG, who is one of the community managers, made it very clear today that they will not be disabling Arbalest or Lawrence Driver in Crucible. and those weapons are very strong right now. But DMG went so far as to say they are not breaking the game, they are not causing a bug that prevents progression or anything like that. We are not going to be taking them out of PvP. Sure, they are annoying, but we are not going to be removing them just because you don't like playing against them. And honestly, I would love to see more of that out of Bungie. Them going, hey, there are other people in the game that aren't you, top 1% people, and we're not just going to disable things because you don't like them. If they did that more often, I think Destiny would be in a better place than it is right now. Currently, it's not in a great place. There's lots of people leaving, and I predict that this Crucible thing is going to keep lots of people who have been trying to have fun in Crucible, being, lower skilled players or even medium skilled players. Once they start getting dominated by those top 1%, maybe even top 5% players again, they're just going to leave, and that's going to leave the game in such a worse position, especially for PvP. And then we're going to start seeing the PvP community leaders bemoaning the state of Crucible, how everything's a bad connection and things like that. You need to remove all the skill-based matchmaking because obviously it's not working. And the reason is because there's just not enough people who want to play against people who are going to dominate them in every game. This pandering to top 1% players who play the game for a living absolutely needs to stop, in my opinion. I'm a really big fan of Destiny as a franchise. I have Lightfall on pre-order, but I can't get behind the fact that Bungie is making the same mistakes they made 5 years ago at the start of Destiny 2. That's just going to lead to bad things, and it's just going to make the game less fun. The more we understand that Destiny is a game that should be for as many people as possible, it does not have to be hard, it has to be fun. The more we're going to have people play and share their love of the game with you and me and everybody else who enjoys it. And if you're someone who is one of those top 1% people, if you're a top 100 raider, or you've gotten flawless raider and day one raider on every raid, go try a hard MMO. You can play a different MMO. If you're one of those people who's always saying they don't want to have to match people with their skill, so skill-based matchmaking needs to go, then you need to absolutely go find another game to play. There are games where the games are set up to be competitive. Call of Duty is out in just a few days. Halo Infinite exists. Yeah, sure. You say what you want about progression, but the gameplay of that game is really solid, and I've said that many, many times. But you know what one of my favorite things is that a lot of these PvP players, because I follow Destiny on Twitter, and I see a lot of the community and people I follow amplify other people who I don't really care to follow personally, but those people I don't care to follow personally will go, oh, I've been playing Overwatch lately, and I've been having a great time. And the reason they've been having a great time is because skill-based matchmaking exists in Overwatch and it's prioritized. So they're new players who've never played it. So they're getting time to adjust and learn and not get dominated by top 500 players only in the games, which is really, really funny because that's exactly what they want to avoid in the game that they're good at. All this is to say that I hope Bungie starts making decisions for the betterment of the community and not for the betterment of streamers in the near future. Please, Bungie, I am begging you, as someone who is a huge fan of this franchise, I would love the franchise to feel welcoming to as many people as possible, even PvP. And right now with the decisions you're making, it's not. Anyway, I'm LittleBobby here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a like if you made it this far, or if you don't like this video, dislike, and let us know down in the comments what we can do better next time. But again, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.